Oh,
Hi.
hello. Good evening. I'm sorry. I'm not. I don't think I'm familiar with you.
No, I'm Neogenia. I'm part of the old Capoeira Detroit group.
Oh wow.
In
Okay.
fact, I'm gonna put my name. Let me change my
Oh, you're okay. Hey, you're cool with us. You gave validation and you went on video. So hey, you already get. You're cool.
there we go. Oops.
It's a, you have to feel bad. I'm not gonna pull out your resume, so you're all right.
That's okay. I gotta do is pull out them old videos. You see.
Oh look, every of I'm like some of our old videos. Now I was telling somebody, I'm like some of that may be blackmail, and stuff, evidence. So,
Oh, I definitely have some blackmail evidence. But it's been a very very long time, and I missed part one, and I'm driving home, I'm flying, and I was late, and I'm like, oh no, I'm getting kicked out the meeting, I can't get in.
oh
So I
no, no,
made sure I was here tonight.
cool, excellent. Hello, Sarah. Hello. How you doing?
Hi. Okay, I do have my uh, microphone on. There we go. Hi.
Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. And I know my partner in crime. He just came on. So hey, Trovada.
Oi,
Hey, how you doing?
what's up, man? Just leaving the hospital.
Okay, how's your dad?
He doing better, man. He had the second procedure this afternoon, so hopefully he'll be at home tomorrow.
Okay, all right, all right.
Hopefully, but uh,
Keep letting us know and everything. I mean, I got you, your father, and your family in my prayers and everything. So yeah, yeah. Um, the oh man. Well, thank you everybody for just attending the second one. And I apologize. I'm actually bringing
oh,
up.
sorry, I hit the wrong button. I said to spare you. I saw spare you's face come up.
Hi.
Uh-oh.
Of
Mentioned Adley Rutschman,
Okay.
the cornerstone catcher of this franchise, will bat second.
bringing
and
up
catching, batting third.
the
The
actual
first baseman,
topics that we were going to talk about. I actually had to run in real quick and set up my laptop real quick. Let's see. But other than that, if you guys want to just introduce yourselves, that'll be great. And then we can get into everything.
Can everybody hear me?
Awesome.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Maybe make it shorter. Backwards and then don't. Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Well, thank you all for taking the time to attend tonight. We're not gonna actually. Me and Drovada actually made that agreement. We're like, we're not gonna. We find once we get into talking about capoeira, like it's a love for all of us. We tend to go into a whole nother realm, and time doesn't exist. So, so we're like, we're gonna make this at least just an hour. So we don't have to. It doesn't have to be too long or anything like that. But this is good for everybody, and I thank everybody for coming along. Galucato. Hey, let's see. Oh, audio's kicking in. Let's see. I see somebody else says Michael. I don't know who Michael is, but yeah. Let's see. Just to let everybody know too. All right. Oh, Mike. Oh, hey, Mike. How you doing? Can you hear us? Okay.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
Cool. Got all right. I see everybody basically, audio. I don't know. Got Galucato. Can you hear? There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Cool. It's been a minute, man.
Oh yeah.
If anything, don't feel bad. All most of us did. We just got grayer. You look like you kept your black. So Cool. But again, I'd like to just thank everybody for coming to our second meeting. One thing that we have always put out there from the first one, we just had to learn a couple of things. You know, we will be monitoring everything. You know, we had a couple of incidents where, you know, people coming in and just not being cool at all. So needless to say, if there's somebody that we admit in, you know, you guys already done it. You showed your face. So, you know, we're cool. But we may kick people out, you know, just in case, because we don't want to have that negativity. That's not our goal here. We're not trying to bring negativity. We're only trying to bring positivity. So a couple of people, if you guys want to introduce yourself, we can just go around the circle. Actually have David kicking in as well too. So Capoeira, you think you could start first? Introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm Macaco Aranya. I've been training with Creative Movement Brazil for a little over a year now. Super thankful, and it's been a wonderful journey. I used to do capoeira back in Oakland, California in my 20s for about 5+ years. That was with in the Mestre group in Regional. So I've really enjoyed learning from Creative Movement Brazil, this next journey in capoeira. And yeah, I'm in education in Detroit. I work at Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Cool. Thank you, Macaco Aranya. All right, anybody next? You can all jump in. Whoever jumps in is cool.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I'm Eugenia. I started with Capoeira Detroit back in, my gosh, had to been like the 90s, I think, Tro, when we kind of first started, because I was in my early 20s, so it's been probably at least 20 years ago. On the campus of Wayne State, you know, University, and greatest time of my life, I must say, and I really miss you guys. I used to be a teacher, so love to teachers. But now I work for our circuit court here in Michigan. And yeah, I actually stopped training a while back, you know, because I was in an auto accident. And so I really appreciate like these get-togethers, because I'm like, oh, I get to connect again. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Excellent. Cool. Thank you for making the time to attend tonight. It's greatly appreciated. So cool. Anybody next?
All right. I'm Gallo. I started capoeira probably about 2009 in Grand Valley under Talento. I trained with him for a few years, and then I switched over to Shogunanji in Kalamazoo in Battle Creek, and I trained with him for the rest of the time. I actually haven't really trained in like maybe the last year or two, maybe longer than that. But yeah, short history.
Cool. Cool. Excellent. Thank you again for making the time tonight. It's funny because the first time I met Galu, it was at a holiday, and I actually had what was it? I think it was you and your brother. I had a kashishi workshop or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That, and then after that, it's funny because I said, I was like, you know what?
I have a bunch of kashishi here that I made from what you taught me.
Nice. Cool. See, that's the thing. I don't know. We may have to all get together and stuff. I don't know. Make a weekend out of making kashishis or something like that. Go by the river and make kashishis. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Cool. And you know what happened from that? Actually, after that, I started the one capoeira song that have like Galu Canto in it. I was like, oh man, I came across it and I was like, so I had to start making. I was like, the next time in the hall, I'm gonna sing this. So he hear this song. So so cool. But thank you again. Hey, it's greatly appreciated. Go around the circle again. Anybody just jump in and introduce yourself and go from there.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael. Capoeira name is Historiador. I'm from Alabama, but I've been in Michigan roughly about 8 or 9 years. The group I train with is Unidade Capoeira. They fall under Scabi Capoeira. I met Calvin at Wayne State at there was a speaker from Brazil. So hopefully one day I'll be able to train with you. So I'm happy to join in with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, thank you again. And like I said, I met you there and it was like, I wanted to sit there and just have more time. I was like, oh no, I have a one student with me. I'm like, I got to get him back because I don't want his mother getting mad or anything like that. And he has to get to work. So I'm like, but you know, just for that, I was like, all right, Facebook, let's go.
Right.
But cool. But you know, again, I'm happy to have met you, and then you know we can still keep in touch with it. And you know, like it's the thing about it. Hey, patience just makes the great things happen. And then at the same time, I'm like, hey, we're here. Capoeira still unites us. That's always a funny thing. So cool. All right. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Hi, I guess I'll go next. My name's Espelio. Let's see. I think I started Capoeira 2006, I think it was, out at Grand Valley State University, with the group that was out there. I was not a student. I had already graduated college like 10 years ago, but my niece introduced Capoeira to me. So I went to go check it out and fell in love with it. And then I moved over to Ypsilanti and trained with the group at EMU, like Atrevido and Hisbungo and them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a revelation, sorry.
Yeah, and so then I would go to Trove's class in Detroit once in a while. So yeah, I think I was there till about, I think it was about 2011. Well, early 2012, I moved to North Carolina. I became a mom and moved out to the middle of nowhere in North Carolina, so didn't get much chance to do much capoeira, though I miss it, still love it. Maybe one day I can get back into it again. But so yeah, that's my short story there.
Cool. Thank you. Only, you know what? I have even those times I'm like, you know, be a dad. Then I had to escape, you know, sometimes I'm like, okay, all right, he's asleep. All right, I got like a good hour, 2 hours before I have to go to sleep and get to work. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do Jenga real quick. Jenga for at least 10, 15 minutes. At least I'm going to keep that going in. So it's like, I had to sneak them in here and there.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I guess. Oh, sorry. Let me unmute myself. I guess David.
Oh yeah, this is David. I have just been living in Michigan since July. I live in Ann Arbor. Followed my partner out here as she goes to school. I started capoeira in 2009 with Mestre Lagosta, Mestre Marcelo out in California. And in about 2014, I switched over to FICA, and I've been training since then with my Mestre Silvinho out on the West Coast in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. Try to make it out when I can to see contramestrepequenininho out in Detroit. I've been out a little bit. I'm sorry about that, but I've been injured. I had elbow stuff and traveling, but hoping to get back to do some in-person trainings. I train at home here, but you know it's not the same without a group. And I wanted to mention that the cachixis, I think I also had a good experience with contramestre making cachixis. That was right before I went to Mexico, and there's a bunch of people who train capoeira a little more casually down there, and last time I saw them up here, they were looking for panderos and stuff, and I asked if they had kashishis, and they didn't. So I made 3 based on your teachings and took them down there. So now the community in Acayuca and Veracruz has kashishis. So, you know,
Nice.
espalhando semente.
Nice, nice, man. That's you know what? That's cool. That's cool. The hey, well, you know what? Yeah, I'll say give me before the end of the year, and then we'll talk about making panderos. So I already have I have an agreement already with my students right now. And Macaco Raya knows that, and I told him to keep me on track of many things, because there's a lot that I have to do. We have atabakis we need to make. So that's our next task, you know, here is, you know, atabakis. Then, you know, after that, you know, be panderos next. So, you know, so yeah, cool. I'm happy you were able to share that with them too, because, you know, that's how capoeira can be. Sometimes I find that a lot of people may they get caught up in the hype sometimes. And, you know, capoeira, what it's supposed to do, I mean, if we go back and look at its historia of capoeira, I mean, yes, it was created from oppression, slavery, things like that, but it still had, what did the people have to do? They had to be a community. They had to be together. You know, they had to uplift each other in some type of way, shape, and form. David, okay, a kashishi, you like making a kashishi, they don't have kashishis, you're like, here you go, kashishis. That's something they're never going to forget, because, you know, it's you shared that ashe with them, and then the ashe just keeps going. So, you know, yeah, cool. I don't know, Trovada. I don't, can you hear okay still, or you're still unable to hear? I think he was having problems with the audio, but needless to say, I know he's going to jump in a second, but let's get along with the meeting again, okay? So we'll introduce ourselves, and we actually chose 2 topics that we wanted to talk about. The first one was going to be about our first one was capoeira as a tool. How can it be used more than just martial arts or etc. For personal growth, and how can it possibly help? We put Detroiters, but not just help Detroiters, but how do you feel it can help people in your community and in your area? So again, capoeira used as a tool. You know, how can it be used more than just martial arts and etc.? What do you feel is the experience that what can capoeira do to help benefit people, or what has it done to actually help benefit you? Let's start with that. What has it done to help benefit you, and how do you feel it can benefit, you know, people in the community? So, anybody can jump in.
Wow, quiet group. Well, I mean, I definitely think you know, capoeira is in a sense a family, like a small family, and I think it brings that aspect to people's lives, because sometimes, you know, not all family is blood. You know, and I'm quite sure we've all experienced that. And you know, it just has this thing where it just creates a type of love and bond with people that's missing in the community. And a lot of people, you know, they don't know where to go to get that feeling from. And so I think, you know, capoeira draws people together with a common goal. I mean, whether you can, I mean, heck, I'm 44, I probably never do another cartwheel. But it's not really about that. You know, it's not really about that. So I definitely think it pulls people together. I think it sometimes even give people a purpose, you know, or it gives them an outlet to do something good, and to do something good with other people. Yeah.
Cool.
At least my experience.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we had a good time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing, you know, hey, there's no good or bad answer to it. It's like I keep telling everybody when they ask me something like, hey, it's capoeira. I'm like, that's the only thing I can say. It's like it's capoeira. You can't explain capoeira sometimes. It's just it's what it does.
I mean, you really can't. Like some of my I mean, I come from the group Largatisha, kind of that group, and I'm just like, oh my God, this guy, he's like my brother. It was kind of weird because it's like we're like the same person, opposite sex, but but you just meet people, and it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what you do, you all have that common love for the art in common.
Cool.
Hey, here's Trove.
Yeah.
Now, for me, that's a loaded question. Stop me if I'm talking too long. By profession, I'm a social worker. And I work with a diverse population of people, everywhere from youth on up. In my beginning of my profession, I worked with foster care youth. And I was able to use capoeira. Well, I would say I exposed them to capoeira, to learn the history, learn some brief movement. But to me, man, it's like when we always talk about enslavement, the part of the African fighting back in so many stories is often overlooked or not discussed in depth. So for me, knowing that capoeira was one of many tools that were used to help our people become free, it's empowering for me. In addition to that, I think when I first seen, a lot of people see Only the Strong, but I seen them doing something and it like connected with me. Never knew the name of it. I just knew, I was like, man, that music, that movement is dope. So as I got into college, I did a research paper on hip hop, and I came across capoeira and I looked it up. I said, man, that's what I seen all them years back. And I was able to reconnect with it. And then come to find out that I did a DNA test, and on my mother's father's side, it's some Portuguese in there. So that's kind of like inner fighting with myself, being that Portuguese, enslaved some of those Africans. So it's a multifaceted tool. The biggest part is the communication, the history, being connected, and all that. So I'll stop right there.
Okay. Cool. See, you had your ancestors talking through your DNA, and you wasn't even recognizing it just popped up. Like, oh, hey, guess what? Do this too. Cool.
I think it really opens you up as a person too, because like when I started, it was weird. It took me about a year before I actually went to a class. I was a taekwondoist, and I was into the rigid just rigid style of everything. I wasn't very social. It was kind of like, you go to the tournaments. It's not all that friendly or anything like that. So for me, it actually opened me up to people and new ideas, and just helped me to just come out of my shell a lot.
Good. Yeah, and it's so many. I usually not usually, ever since I get my got the whole thing of now you can teach now. My main thing is that I didn't want to make class, I didn't want to make it uncomfortable, and at the same time I wanted my students to be able to be open and free with their goal that they're trying to reach in capoeira. Some people come, hey, I saw it, and I want something I need to work out, I need to lose weight, I want to be toned, I want to learn how to fight, I want to do this, that, and the other. Well, everybody comes from some different way, shape, or form because of capoeira. Oh, I saw it in a martial arts movie, and I want to do everything that they do. And I'm like, okay, like there's one thing with it, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you one statement that's solid and true. Capoeira is going to talk to you in some type of way, shape, or form. you're coming with something, but it may be different. So I'm like, okay, let's go and let's see what can happen. But from all of the different things as well for yourself, I mean, I had to happen with me. It was like, I was the not just an introvert, I was the nerdy kid. And then I did Tang Sudo. And then from Tang Sudo, it was like, okay, now I'm going to start doing jujitsu. Then from jujitsu, went to boxing. And I'm like, okay, but then same thing, only the strong pop out of anywhere, which is much the story out of all of us. Don't laugh, Trovada. Trovada made, I would say like this, I'll segue to that. Trovada had to point out something to me, and that became the inside joke. So I was like, okay, now I'm laughing about it every day. So I teach now at Jalen Rose Leadership Academy at the high school. And we were talking about it. I was like, yeah, teacher here. He's like, oh man. So it was him and somebody else. They're like, man, you became the real life Lewis off of Only the Strong. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to take that. I was like, the only thing I didn't have to enlist in the army, and I don't have a Severio around here calling me Santo all the time. So I had to do any street fights, flipping off of cars and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm good with that. Oh man, but yeah. So going back to it, the question again, just to get it out there, capoeira as a tool, how can it be used more than just martial arts, etc., for personal growth, and how can it possibly help different peoples in the area? So let's see, we got Mike. Anybody, you can just go ahead and jump in.
I'll jump in. I think capoeira, like a lot of arts that are descended from the African diaspora, are really good at creating community. There's a lot of like reciprocity, right? We make the circle. The other art that I do is Son Jarocho, which is from Veracruz, and it's also very much influenced by the African folks who had come to Veracruz. That's the main port of entry into Mexico through the Atlantic. And it's also very much like call and response. You go in, you do the dance, you play the instrument, you sing for a moment, and then you pass it to the next person. And that way in which we interchange, and nobody's just the one protagonist, and nobody's just, we all serve a purpose, we're all supporting each other. It's not audience and performers, not, we're not split up from each other like that. And I think that sense of belonging is really powerful, especially in young people, especially people who are maybe struggling with a sense of purpose. And I think that way in which we start to learn how to rely on each other and to also kind of be comfortable with giving that part of ourselves to each other is a way in which it's really hard for, kind of systems to break us apart and, kind of take advantage of us more easily if we're kind of on our own than if we're together as a community and we have that experience of sharing and caring for each other. And so I think that it's as much like community strengthening as it is for just one person at a time.
Cool. I like how everybody keeps using that word, community. Community. It's much like me and Trovada had this conversation a lot. The word community, when it comes to not just capoeira, but a lot of different things, but since we're on the topic of capoeira today, sometimes the word community in capoeira only goes so far. It's community as it's changed throughout the years. I feel community has become commercial at times. It's like commercial. It's come be, part of capoeira community, things like that. I'm like, yes, it's very uplifting, but community means all. It means all. It's not just divided. It's not divided by, either gender, racially, physically, whatever you may bring it. If it's going to be community, let it be community. Don't let it be, okay, well, I don't play we have community, but we don't play capoeira with the person that does capoeira Hazel now. You do capoeira Hazel now, we don't play capoeira with you. You do capoeira Angola, we don't play capoeira with you. You do contemporânea, we don't play capoeira with you. Community is supposed to be everybody. So that's one thing I say I have a problem with at times. I'll be honest about a lot of different things. I have a problem with that. If it's going to be community, don't make it a limitation. Or if it's community, don't make it community where it's like community, but this first, the money first. You know, yeah. That's why I say it's become commercial, because you can be part of community as soon as this happens. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, at least for me, it helped me with my depression that I had at the time, because of the exercise and the community, having lots of friends and social interaction. So I think it's also really good for mental health. I hated leaving the community when I moved. That was a huge disappointment for me. So just wanted to put that in.
Cool. Well, you know what? Even a change in technology, I'm like, other than, nothing will ever beat the physical being there. But just being able to even engage right now. I mean, what we're doing right now, we're community. We're community right now. We're talking about positivity and things that we've experienced, and then how can we actually uplift and make the community even better through capoeira, or even with the fundamentals of capoeira, the lessons of capoeira. So yeah. Anybody else? Go.
I'll switch it up a little bit and speak personally, more focused personally, in that I think it's really helped me navigate a lot of work struggles this past year. I'm not really good at the politics of work. I don't understand the nuance of I don't know. I don't even know how to begin to get into it, but basically the subtleties of being in administration and education, and not doing too much for the kids, and not solving problems because I care too much, and really having to understand that can be a problem, and just how to use some of the movements more metaphorically in life, like ole, how do you spin away from a negative situation. Another thing that contramestrepequenininho gives us as a gift is don't fall in someone else's game. And so don't let someone else's energy dictate the interaction or how you're going to respond to something. So it's been extremely helpful in me navigating this year at a wonderful place that I'm really thankful to be a part of. And I think also the Roda becomes a sort of a seed of the week, where you kind of plant things and nurture things and cultivate things in that circle. And then they kind of express themselves throughout the week as I go through the week, and I'm interacting and dealing with certain things, knowing I'm going to come back to that same place again and return and go back, and creates this rhythm to life.
Ooh. Thank you for Macaco Ryan. Even our conversations, I just always say thank you for you giving me the opportunity to be able to just help. I'm gonna say it that way. I'm not gonna say change you, mold you, anything. To help. That's it. I'm like, this capoeira helps. It helps. It does something inside some type of way, shape, or form. But to be able just to do that, and it's again those lessons that you're learning from it as well too. That just makes you even a better person. So and I mean, just within that year, I'm like, the first time you come in there till now, I'm like, oh man, it's not capoeira help with fundamentals and things and lessons like this, but he's initially the person that walked in here and made the decision, but he came in here wanting to make change for himself. So you already walked in the power. All you're doing right now is just accepting it every day. So
Dr. Messi, let me reflect something back that you brought up about kind of money and community. I was at an event with Messi João Grande, Messi Temba, Contra Messi Salim had put it together, and they were talking about and Messi Moraes, can't leave him out. So it was all them, and they were asking what vagia means, right? Which like literally just translates to like loafing around, kind of just hanging out. And a reflection that I think Danielle from Oakland had brought was that, you know, after the abolition of slavery, it was kind of like a, you know, one of the new like rights that people could enjoy, that it formerly enslaved people could enjoy, is just hang out and do things that aren't gonna make anybody money, you know. And I think that that's a really profound thing. I think that's something that we have less and less of in society now, in a different way. But you know, it's just like we're always consuming, we're always making somebody rich whenever we get together, in a way that I think capoeira and other arts like that provide us a chance to, you know, be at the park and not be buying anything, be like spend, you know, 12 hours in a space and not have to be shopping, you know. And I think that as far as like real community goes, that's part of it that I think capoeira might help us relearn in this, like, you know, more capitalistic society, you know. And so I'm also like that relationship between community and money, I think it's really problematic, and I'm glad when we kind of try to make a little bit more distance from that.
Right. Thank you for that, David. It's you know, I can even the segue onto that. You know, there's times even where, you know, I'm out in the community and I you know, I may see someone, you know, like, hey brother, hey sister, and everything, and like, okay, you know, hey, you know, can you help me with this? Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I'll help. But you know, it's those times where it's like the help, I can see that you're asking for help, but you actually don't need the help. Like I actually have, it was a joke actually in a movie. Forgot the name of the movie. It was a guy that was homeless and he was sitting on the street, and the guy walked by and gave him, like, you know, a whole bunch of money in his can. And as soon as the guy like left, he jumped up and took his coat off, and he had a 3-piece suit on and everything, and got in the car, got in a Benz and drove off. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of terrible. But I actually experienced something like that. It wasn't like that, but you know, a guy was like, oh, you know, can you help me with some food or anything? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So, you know, gave him some money for food, and then I actually had to go back into the actual store. So as soon as I went into the store, he came in, he didn't realize that I was in there. He was like, oh no, you know, let me get a 1/5 of that alcohol and everything up there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's, you know, it's those things of, you know, when you go in like community and then also, you know, helping somebody, you know, sometimes it doesn't go as we expected. But with capoeira community, sometimes community only goes so far by the person's ego. You know, and it's like, you know, hey, I had community, but you know, I want to have 1,000 students. Okay, so out of all of that, so if you tell me out of 1,000 students, you're going to be able to keep the fundamentals of community, and you're the only one teaching, or you're the only one focused on that, you're stretching yourself extremely thin, because something's going to fall through the cracks. And then at the same time, what will happen? Some part of ego is going to come into place. I have 1,000 students. I have these many students. I'm powerful. I'm this, you know, okay. So now I have all this money. Now let me start, you know, taking away the fundamentals I learned from this, and now money's in front. So it's, like I said, I have a I can say that's my own, it could be my own personal problem that I have with it, but I have a problem with community. When people say community in capoeira, and then it's a division. It's, you know, no invitations to hoarders because of the capoeira that you do. No, and I'll say it like this, no recognition of the whole fact of your investment in capoeira compared to somebody else. You know, oh, you know, you're like, oh, I've been in for 25 years or anything like this. And oh, it's like, oh, well, you probably don't know anything. It's like, well, I may know something, but, you know, let's not degrade and, you know, devalue what I actually have, you know. So, you know, or let's just sit down and talk. Why do we need to, you know, make dividers or anything like that, or just, you know, compare value? Let's sit down and talk and just even get to know each other, you know, stuff like that, compared to me trying to learn you in the Horda from a briga. So no, like, no, I'm not gonna fight no Horda. Let's actually have a beautiful game. Let's have a game, you know. So yeah, but continue. Anybody can jump in.
Hey, everybody. Sorry about being late, but I had some personal family health issues to deal with. So on the topic of community, everybody says something much more eloquently than I will. But I'm just want to piggyback off a couple of things. For me, community is as contramestrepequenininho so eloquently said, it's about acceptance. And to me, that's really what's going to complete community for me. For instance, I would be at events. David, I think I remember you, brother, from California, but it's been a long time. What I would always hate, whether I followed it or not, because I follow what at the time my capoeira dictated that I follow, would be, I would hate this, and this is to me about community. You would have a group of people around the Horda. Then you would have the so-called higher belts and masters and playing. Then there's somebody that's been sitting there for like 30 minutes with a lower chord, as you know, all this chord stuff, just waiting patiently, just sitting there waiting. And all these other people are flying, they're playing. This person is just sitting there waiting. And it would hurt me to no end that they got ignored. They're sitting there waiting. They go at the time, you know, a tradition of buying the game and contemporaneous, they will buy the game, knocked away. Oh, you're only a green belt. Mm-hmm. Then this will get, just as a pet peeve, and this is what I don't want. Then later in the event, someone's going to say, it's a higher chord, it could be a mestre, whoever. Then they're going to, oh, the community. I'm like, but this person was sitting there 20 minutes. All they wanted to do was vagiar like you were able to do. That's all they wanted to do. But they may not have gotten a chance at all because you were higher than them. So you know, in my mind, even then, you know, I'm no one, I could say nothing. But even then, I'm like, well, if you were truly higher, you would have recognized that person standing there and be like, oh, whoa. They want to play. Let them play. Because if you're a contramestre, a mestre, a professor, you didn't play for so long, you've never run out of opportunities to play. This person may have just gotten the courage up to get to the pay and go out with all this intimidating moves and people, but you forget them. And that's, you know, what always hurt me about community. So that was negative. Let's go positive, because we don't want to leave anything on the negative thought. So when I became able to, you know, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, I'm human, but I would make sure, oh, whoa, let them play. Yeah, move over. Let them play. They need to play too. How are they going to develop their whole person in capoeira outside if they're not able to play? You're saying it is community, but you're leaving someone out of the community because their experience level in capoeira or their core level, whatever this stuff that we seem to, you know, harp on. In a greater area, in some areas in Michigan and other places, it is based upon how prestigious, i.e. how many people your group has. That's not community. That's just reminds me of high school where the popular kids get all the good stuff and everybody else is kind of left to the side, even though they're doing the same thing. They just may not be doing it on such of a recognized grand scale. So when Contramestre and I were talking over the years, we found that we had many things in common. We won't get into Ultraman, Kamen Rider.
Don't have me dork out.
Hey, look. And we would talk. I'm like, man, I don't want that. Well, I have a heart. I just want people to play. Because and I'll admit at first when I got the so-called high core, it was an ego thing for like a second. Like, ooh, I get to play with the professor and the masters, and I'm like, but it's kind of goofy if that's all I'm playing with. You know what I mean? It's kind of goofy. And then I remember being at restaurants where it was the master's table. And then over time I said, no, I'm gonna sit over here. I'm not gonna sit with you guys. Because how's there a master's table anywhere when we talking about community? There's just a table. And everybody should be able to sit at the table. Now, of course, you want to sit around people you think you have more in common with, but then what's the point? Aren't you supposed to learn about people? Why would I just want to sit at a table where it's just people of a certain rank? I want to sit at the table with everybody because everybody got something to contribute. Because we talking about conversation. You never know what somebody knows or needs or can help with. And I'm not even talking on the way to get you nothing, but I mean, you just don't know talking to people. You might find out they like Ultraman too. You don't know. And so that's, I think, what Contramestre and I want to do as far as community, what we consider community here. I don't care if you a green belt, no belt, blue, yellow, green, all that. I don't care, because you're above everything. You're a human being first, and that needs to be respected. To me, above all else. The rest we can trickle down, but you're a human being. Come play. We got 2 arms, 2 legs. Some cases, some people don't even have that, and they're playing capoeira. So we're human beings. Let's hook up on a human being level and have community, and set all of this ego-inducing stuff from the side, to the side, excuse me. And I think even if it's a small group of people, such as the people in here and the people that were on the other Zoom talk we did, and we get together and have a heart, maybe it can spark a change where this is not this, oh, I got 75 people. I'm the man, you just a little fella. Or, something like that. It's like, no, we're just human beings all doing capoeira and the type of capoeira we choose and we love, but we can all get together and just play. It's capoeira. It's not like it's rugby and somebody's trying to come in the hall and play rugby. And it's like, that's not capoeira, man. It's all capoeira. So, if that makes any sense, that's just my 2 cents.
Oh no, it's valid. It is totally valid. It's even the experiences, community. I had it was funny. I had I have to say the history of this, then it'll make sense. So background, my background started in capoeira. It was around 1997, 1996, something like that. Started off actually with he's not on here, one of my friend of myself and Trovada, Tadarius. He was actually training with Trovada already with Capoeira Majinga, and then I actually met him and then started going from there. But it was only with I was still like on the outskirts, kind of like going where I want to go or in and out. So we were just training together. But that led us to meeting through Baba Kalinde Ihi through the Tamarian Institute, Mestre Pleto Velo from Us Malandros and Mestre Toro. So we started training with him, with Dennis Newsom, and then for a while, then after that, I wanted to learn even further more that I could as far as the Capoeira Angola. That was more like from Bahia. So we had the opportunity to have and I will still acknowledge acknowledge him and give respect to him even till today. Mestre Capoeira Aluanda. So, and from Tabcat, from, you know, and him and himself and Mestre Happy. So, you know, I was able to learn a lot from them, but, you know, circumstances change. And then after a while, you know, I chose to, you know, keep constantly moving on, but I had the blessing to, you know, train and to teach. So, you know, be contramestre. But, you know, from there, I actually, I was hit with some other experiences that really had me look at and question even community, you know, not just capoeira community, but, you know, community within myself. What type of community am I actually looking for? Is it something just self-gratification? Is it something that I need just in an instance to help me, you know, things like that. And I actually started experiencing it before I moved on from the last group, where a thing that was told to me, not just by one, but like at least 4 different mestres. They're like, you know, watch out for the time, because it was like, and one of those like, he's like, I hate to tell you this. I hate to tell you this, but you may run into some time in your life in capoeira where somebody's not going to like the capoeira that you do. And it was like, they're not going to like it. And they gonna test you and test you and test you until no tomorrow, or even to go like, does he actually know capoeira? Or does he actually know capoeira? You know, and they kept saying, you know, you may have somebody visit. It was like, somebody gonna visit your school, or somebody's gonna visit a hoarder, somebody gonna do something, and they're gonna try to test you, or either community is going to try to put you on the floor. And I actually got an invitation to a group. There was another person that had come here from an invitation. I got invited to a group. I never would generally get invited to the group. And I don't mind. I'm like, you know, hey, I have to be myself. I'm like, I have my community. I had Trovada, everybody around there, all of us. We like, man, we're just enjoying capoeira. We don't have anything that we need to prove. But the experience took me through learning what it meant by commercial community. I'll put it that way, commercial community. You know, game come, and then also, you know, the person that invited me there, you know, I'm like, okay, I want to play capoeira, you know, wouldn't play capoeira with. Then at the same time, it was like, okay, well, we're gonna have him play capoeira, but he's gonna just oh, sorry about that. He's gonna play. I got a suction cup. Suction cup is not holding on right now, but he's gonna, you know, just play capoeira with the kids. They're like, oh, let's just have him play capoeira with the kids. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna give these kids a fun time. I'm like, I'm gonna do goofy stuff. I'm gonna, you know, do a whole bunch of achi capoeira, a whole bunch of different things so they have fun. And it's like, okay, now we'll let them play the actual other people. It's like, okay, so now you have me play with a whole bunch of kids and this, so it's like kind of to tire me down. So now it's like, okay, now we can get them. And I never experienced that, and it was something that it's I don't say it scarred me. It had me have to open my eyes up to other people's sometimes their ulterior motives. And you know, from there I actually, you know, play capoeira. Then I was able to play with the person, and then it was like I saw the whole thing that tried to open it up and like, oh, let's get them, let's just try to get them and get them. But I was like, you know, I'm not here to get. I'm here to actually play capoeira. And that happened at the end of it. You know, the intro was, you know, oh, we try to have capoeira community. We invite somebody else here. You know, it's from Detroit. You know, I know his mestre. You know, I can't remember his name. And then, you know, that. And I'm like, you know, okay. But it was funny because I was like, you know, the only one there that's, you know, wearing yellow and black. So of course they're like, he's the Angolero. So, and but you know, at that whole time, it left a feeling like that's not right. That's not community that I'm used to seeing. And you know, at the end of it, it was like, you know, the little Portuguese that I able to know, and I was like, you know what? I don't like to do this, but I'm sitting there and it was like, okay, well, we're going, his name, contramestrepequenininho, he's this. And then, it was like, oh yeah, explain. And then it was like, I don't remember. No, it was like, I don't remember his name. I said, I was like, oi, un momento. Meu nome é contramestrepequenininho, meu saudade de Detroit. And I'm like, I chose to speak in the little bit of Portuguese that I had. So I was like, I have to let you at least understand my capacity. Even if it's just me doing this, I came here for a capoeira community. I didn't come here for negativity. I came here to enjoy the roda, not this. But, and I'm like, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful for being here, and I loved, I want to see capoeira grow. And I just thank you for that. But the only thing that transpired that was, it sucked. And Trovadas experienced this as well too. When I say this, sometimes at the end of the roda, people will come to us and say, "Oh, I didn't know Capoeira Regional was here in Michigan. I didn't know Capoeira Angola was here in Michigan." And it's like, there's so much of a history of both. And before we recognize these are the groups that we have, let's recognize the art. Let's recognize the lineage of the art. Let's recognize what they went through to even get us where we are now in the art. Again, like I said, when it comes to community and the community does this, that's when it starts changing. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on it. So.
Oh, and I'll just speak a little bit. Jackson, I believe, says something that's like, I sometimes I'm very reluctant to share my capoeira experiences because unfortunately, a lot of my capoeira education was negative. And I hate to share it because it comes off as negative, but it's still a lesson. You know what I mean? Like, there is another part of capoeira that is negative. Doesn't mean that it should be outlawed or it shouldn't be. It's an experience. Let's say I processed it negatively. Let's just say that. Where much like Contramestre is stating, I was able a lot because see, I was never taken seriously because I'm a big fella. I don't play very flashy, so I didn't get taken seriously. So I was privy to be and they didn't know I spoke as much Portuguese and understood it as I did. So I never let nobody know that. So I want people to feel, it's the capoeirista in me. I wanted people to feel freely to speak around me and say, he doesn't know what whatever. I'll just sit there and process and say, it's interesting. Never said nothing. It's a lot of stories I could tell that would never leave they up here. They would never be told because I'm not a rumor spreader. I don't, but I've been privy to it. And I'm like, this is some interesting stuff for me and all that to say that that's a part of the community too. It's a part we don't talk about. And it's contramestre said it's people that will test you. Oh, so far you think he does Haitian knowledge, feels you beam. Okay. So what we're gonna do now in a certain instance, every time we see him, we're just gonna, not every time, let me not over exaggerate, but we're going to demonstrate our version of the Cintura Desprezada so we can, any other time, I might not see it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you can do it. That's yippee skippy. I mean, what? Maybe it's just me and over reading into it. So let's just say that. But it's like, okay, that's nice. That's cool. Okay. Why can't we just like, hey man, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's ego. And we all have an ego. Let's not lie.
Right.
However, I think both contramestrepequenininho and I and other people that teach that may not get the fanfare and everything. Luckily, I got enough people in my community that if my ego get out of check, they check it.
Mm.
I'm lucky with that. Mestre Nanel, well, he a different type of dude, but I know that if my ego ever got out of hand, it would get checked. And it's a good to have that. He wouldn't just feed into my ego. That's what I'm trying to say. He's gonna pull me aside. Not that it ever happened, because I think my ego is pretty much, after all these years, I'm old, man. I don't, whatever. But I know he would. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm thankful to have a master that way. And I'm thankful I got other members of the capoeira community, both here and in Toronto and Texas and California. They're gonna put me in check if they feel nicely, though, if they can kind of feel my ego's getting out of hand. So I'm lucky. But it's some people that don't have it. Their ego is allowed to run unchecked. And that's not a good thing in a lot of instances, because we want to humble is such it's a difficult word for me a lot of times, because you can be humble, but it's in a lot of instances when you're humble, the outside takes it like you don't have confidence in what you do, as opposed to you do, but you don't have to brag about it. It's just you do, and there's no need to it's no need to say or do any more than is necessary. But that's,
almost like to take it as a plasticity.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it's not, it's more like, why do I need to be overtly arrogant? It's still, we're all doing capoeira. No matter what the methodology is. If I say hashtag, everyone knows what that means.
Universal movement.
Stylistically, it may be done slightly differently, but we get the gist of someone says hashtag. We get the gist of it. So the Ginga, okay, stylistically, it may be somewhat different. And when I mean stylistically, I mean everybody in this talk has a different way of doing Ginga, because that's their style, regardless of your methodology. No Angolero Jinga's like the other one. It's your style. David has his style of Ginga. Jackson has his style of Ginga. Michael has his style of Ginga. I'm not gonna name everybody, but you get my point. Mm-hmm. But it's still Ginga. So we can all get together and play capoeira to any rhythm. I'm Haitian now. I'm proud to be it. I love it. Mestre Nanel. Ooh, I love him. But I can play. If contramestrepequenininho and David play Angola, I can play. I'm not gonna play just like they are, but I wouldn't play just like they are, even if I train Angola, because I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. I'm not gonna play like them anyway. So it's to me, it's like, and this is to go back to my point that I've always had a pet peeve about. Community needs to be accepting. Someone who can get, like I've always said, people look at capoeira from the outside, like I'm not talking about capoeiristas, and it looks like this person doesn't do something as well as the other person. Now, I'm not saying it don't, just looks like it, because it may not be as aesthetically pleasing as this other person. And I will always tell people, and still do, I say, well, why don't you get in there with them? And then when that Mia Lua come at your face, tell me, I want to see what your impression is of that person's capoeira then. Because you're not going to be thinking about their capoeira. You're going to be thinking about how you not get hit by that and how you get out the way and be safe. I said, so, but it's these external things, I think, have in some instances slowed down how community could develop. Because I've encountered over the years, I'm not saying here, I'm not saying not here, I don't want to play that person, their capoeira's not good for me. Capoeira's not good. And Mungia and Esperia, maybe even Gallo can attest to this. I've never talked about anyone's capoeira. No one ever thinks And no one ever knows who I think is good or not, because you know why? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because people will probably be surprised as to who I think really got super duper capoeira, because I'm not looking at how they look. I'm looking at how they function. But then that's still my opinion. That's why I don't say it. It has nothing to do with the development of the community. It has nothing to do with anyone's individual development. It's simply a personal opinion. And I think a lot of times what stops community from growing is people that have a voice, may use it, and it's not distinguished what's their personal opinion as opposed to what is something that needs to really be said, if that makes any sense. So we look at capoeira, we look at people, and we say, oh, that person's capoeira is not, I don't, you know, the general we in this fictional world. That person's capoeira is not good. I'm like, why ain't it good? Ain't they playing? Yeah, good enough for me. Because how are you going to get more people to play? Come on and play. However you play is however you play. Any so-called deficit can be improved. Consistency, training, time, figuring out why you can or can't do something, and working on it. Any inconsistency in music can be made up in the same way. Consistency, effort, time, practice, figuring out why your voice doesn't sound a certain way. But then, to me, does your voice have to sound a certain way? Or is it the way you sing? Is it more of how you're sounding or the energy you're giving off? And I don't mean Portuguese pronunciation, because if we're not native speakers, we all saying it wrong. Or it don't sound like a Brazilian, because we're not Brazilian. Like, have you ever heard some Brazilian rap trying to rap in English? I'm like, ooh, good Lord. I'm like, ooh, no. But it's still there. But you know, that's just me being silly. But it's like, well, they're rapping. They rap better than me. I'm not a rapper. So it's, you know, that's my biggest pet. One of my millions of zillions pet peeves with community. It's like sometimes it's seen through the lens of the people who seem to have the most pull, and that's not good. It needs to be seen through the lens of each and every person that's in it. To me, then it's equitable. You know, I want to see everybody get better in capoeira and succeed, whether you train with me or not. What does that matter? Because when I'm dead and gone, capoeira's still gonna be here. Michigan, I guess, as a state, will still be here. Detroit as a city will still be here in some way, shape, or fashion. So I want the capoeira to be stronger in a lot of senses. I want the capoeira to be more cohesive, but I want it to be better, but not necessarily in a technical sense, but in a sense of community and belonging, because no matter how many people are in one group, there still ain't a lot of people that do capoeira. It's not. And I think one of the ways that we could do better is just simple acceptance. David, I was in and out of the car, so I couldn't really hear, but you mentioned training with Mr. Marcelo and Lagosta, good old Lagosta, and then joining FICA. How can I put this? I want to experience your capoeira. No, and I don't mean that in a challenge sort of way. It's like, but you have something that's unique that if we play, I'm going to experience. Everybody does. And to me, that's the beauty of community. That can be the beauty of capoeira. We don't have to, it doesn't mean, oh, no, I'm going to train and go. No, it means as a person, see, I'll get to know you in a different way as a person when we play. And that's, to me, that's the beauty and the strength of capoeira community, when it's truly as a community, when it's based on acceptance first as a human being, then acceptance of all these other so-called differences that we have, whether they're methodology, stylistic, etc., racial, blah, 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 blah. Once it's accepted, then we can just play. I think that the community intuitively and instinctively grows because it's no other barriers. It's just two human beings playing capoeira. And that's, you know, one of the things contramestrepequenininho I wanted out of these talks is just, let's get some group of people together, and then maybe one day we can find somewhere to meet and just have a harder, whether it's 10 people, 20 people, 200 people, et cetera, and it's done from a place of there's not going to be any judgment. Okay, I mean, other than beating somebody, I ain't the fighting stuff, because, and I'll say this about the fighting, they're going to go, oh, this is, and the stereotype is this coming from a so-called Haitian guy. You got an instrument, whether it's a bateria of Angola with the 3 berimbau, the two panderos out the back, you know, the bateria, or you got a Haitian charanga with 1 berimbau, 2 panderos. Guess what all of those have in common? What we doing inside of there ain't combat. We're not fighting. We're playing. And so with that in mind, let's have at some point, you know, let's have a community-based harder where we're just playing. That don't mean don't get nobody a rasteira. Rasteira part of capoeira. Falling from one is a part of capoeira. It's, are you doing it in the moment because, well, that's what presented itself? Are you coming in there with, oh, why does Haitian now? All they do is fight. I'm gonna get my rasteira. Okay, I'm gonna fall on purpose then, so you can get it out your, and I've done that. You get it out your system. You good? Now can we play? You good? Okay. Ooh, you made me fail. Well, guess what? You and my cat got a lot in common, because he gave me rasteira many a day coming down the steps. Oh, you good as you just as good as Mr. Poopy. Good. And then, you know, cool, we cool. Because then when I've learned, and Culture Mestre probably learned this too, then when people get it out their system, you have a game then. Just go ahead, take me down. Woohoo! You the man. Oh, you took me down. I'll make a show. I'll fall and flip up. Hey, woo. Now can we play?
Right.
Then we're good. Because it don't matter. And I felt this, especially David, you probably can relate to this, because I felt this a lot in California. Because I'm a big guy. So when I come in, I see certain people eyeing me. I said, oh man, I ain't gonna just be able to play. Because I can tell that look. They got this look. So, okay. Do I fall for them in the first game, or do I really build their ego up and help them? Or do I give them a little pushback and then fall in the second game? Which one do I do? Then once I'm over that, or once they're over that, then I can play them a third game. We can just have a regular game. And I can start enjoying it because I see it. You know, I've noticed this too, and I'm sure, Coach Mestre, you mentioned it. I know you know we talk. You got an Angola shirt on, David. I'm just picking on David because I can see him. But you got an Angola shirt on.
You rocking that shirt. I'm like,
yeah, that's a nice shirt. You got an Angola shirt on. You walk into a harder with that. Picture this, and this is, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm making it try to make sense for community. Someone is looking at you, and they're like, they got to out Angola you. They got to pull out all their memories of Mestre Cobra Manza and doing this. They got to outdo you. They got to. And you're like, I'm sure you're like, can we just play? But you let them do it because, you know, it's, and it may be a good intention why they're doing it. They just haven't been educated that has a time and place, you know. Then they get it out their system and you can have an enjoyable game. So, and I'm just trying to wrap it up by saying, when we do this community thing, that's going to be part of our community too, because it's not their fault. A lot of people, by their teachers, and their teachers may not know, haven't been educated, because how would they unless they really train it? That it's a time and a place for everything. And it's, and specifically when it comes to both Angola and Haitian now, it's a time and a place for certain things, and it's not just done. It's more like, okay, it's done to this in this instance. It's done in this, maybe, you know, and I can only speak for Haitian now because this is what I'm doing. Some of the throws, the ballons, are only done in Una. They're not done just to be done. Certain ones are. Then other ones, more sophisticated ones, are only done knowing the partner and knowing that they're gonna land. You ain't just go do some stuff because you'll hurt someone, you know, and that's, or this rhythm doesn't call for that. And it's not people's fault. It's they haven't been trained, and that's fine, but that's, you know, contramestrepequenininho and I talk about, that's the part of the education process too, that in doing community, we're gonna have to do. Like, oh, not that you're wrong, it's just not right now. You gotta, so, you know, I'm hoping to see all, including the spare, you gotta make trip up, hoping to see everybody. If we can organize some, the summer's probably the best time because maybe the weather will actually hold out and not be Michigan. And
hey, don't talk about that 4 seasons in a day.
but you know that we can get together and we can do it, because I think even if it's small, we can make an example of what community could be, if that makes sense.
I like that, because that actually segues into the second topic that we had. Where do we see capoeira in the future? Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll be good. We'll have a successful session tonight. So that's the other topic. Where do you guys see capoeira in the future?
I just want to say thank you really quickly. I unfortunately need to go to something that I'm already late to, and I'd really rather stay and listen, but I know there'll be more of this, so I'm confident that I will hear what I've missed tonight at some point in time down the road. Appreciate everyone. Have a great evening.
Oh, you too, Macaco Aranya. Hey, have a good time. But, yeah. So yeah, where do you guys see capoeira in the future? It doesn't have to just be around here. I mean, just in general. So it's kind of like a.
Well, for me, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to answer that because I've been away for so long, and just listening here, kind of like people's thoughts on what happened to the community. That wasn't my experience. You know, like I trained under Trove, like we were really tight, and a lot of the things that were mentioned today, I didn't feel that at all. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, at what point did things change? You know, like what years? Because, you know, when you're talking about acceptance and people just training and just doing what they do, and that was my experience. And I'm just like, what the heck happened? You know, after I left, like, you know, I don't, you know, I'm quite sure there's some, you know, probably some things that was going on that I wasn't aware of, but, you know, like overall, like my view of what I consider community was good. And so I'm like, when did that change? And how did it change? Or, you know, why did it change? And I know, you know, some of it had to do with respect. You know, I don't know if it was like early 2000s or, you know, something, but, you know, there were people who kind of like forgot some of the pioneers of capoeira in Michigan. And it's like, you know, was that the kind of start of it? I mean, I you know, I don't know, but when thinking about, you know, where do you go from here? You know, I'm not, I can't even begin to answer. You know, I mean, I know for me personally, like I'm kind of ready to get back. I've tried before, but it was a mental thing, you know, because for me, I was hit. You know, I'm sure I know you guys don't know. I know Trove, you know, but I was hit by a semi truck, like flat under a semi truck on the freeway, and it took me out physically. But what people don't talk about is what happens to you mentally. So even when my body was better, I couldn't get back into it because it's like the drive was gone. And so like now I'm just like, okay, I'm just now really kind of getting that drive back. I'm like, man, I really want to get back into this, but where do you go from here? It's just kind of tough because I'm like, man, well, how did it get here to think about where to go from here, if that makes sense?
But I think I can help you with that in this sense, because you said it in your answer. Respect, but for me, maturing as just a human being outside of capoeira, but of course it's going to affect capoeira. You said back to the respect, but instead of respecting titles, respect people. So for instance, let me give you an example. Barrett's here. He's my first capoeira teacher. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to try to be brief. You know how in the greater martial arts world, there's respect for people that are famous pioneers. Like there's respect for the founder of karate, Shotokan karate, for instance. But then there's a person in Wisconsin somewhere who's teaching out of their garage or at the YMCA. They have a regular job, but they teach and they form their students and they train. In my humble opinion, and this is going to ask you, they should be just as respected to me as the founder of that style, because they're the ones, at least amongst those people, they're the ones who are dealing with people's day-to-day issues and motivating them. They're the ones who, as we did with Barrett back in the day, walk up, I don't know how to do this and I want to quit. And then he's giving you a pep talk about not quitting and show you some different ways to do the thing and blah, blah. They deserve that same level of respect as this big, huge person that all the karate magazines say that we all should respect. To me, because they're with you on the day-to-day. And if we get back to that for each individual teacher in their own like student body, but then the overarching thing is to respect everybody, respects everybody as a human being first and foremost. I think we can get back to what you're talking about. And it is respect, but it's respect. Sorry, my hands on my. It's respect for first the person as a human, another human being. And I think some of that sometimes gets lost when our other part of our humanity comes in, where the egos are huge because I got this higher belt, I got this title, or I got more people than you, or more people like my Instagram post, or blah, 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 blah. I think that's just not just capoeira. I think that's the world we're navigating in at this point in time in the world. And I just think if we do some of those basic values, the first thing I'm going to do is respect this person as a human being. And then on a smaller scale, I'm going to respect my teacher, because if nothing else, they putting up with me. If nothing else, they're putting up with me, whereas this bigger than life figure never had to put up with me. That person, that's that local person, deserves just as much respect, if not even a little bit more on a personal level, and then let it spread out from there. But to me, the first respect is respect as a human being. I think when we do that and we come together, we have a heart. If we just respect each other as human beings, regardless of title, style, rank, then we can go back to some of those old type of times, because, we had some fun, but we all respected each other as people first. And we never, and if you notice this, Mujian, we never really took ourselves that seriously, where it's like, we were always laughing at ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't, oh, you can't laugh at me. I'm Professor Trowada. You can't laugh at me. And you should be laughing at me if I do something that's funny, because I'm a human being first and foremost. That's what I mean. If I fall, I'll probably be the first one to laugh. Like, ooh, I work on that some more. And I think that can be a way to kind of start to get back to some of those basic things that allow us to all come together and be a community and have these great artists.
To add on to that too, we've all had to do a restart in life, and it's not just capoeira. Suggestion with it, I don't want to put it with your Eugenia, with your what happened. You look at it as far as a couple of different things. Something like that would have been the end of somebody, but you have a higher purpose of still being here, and then that's just even your experiences still in everything in life, and then also in capoeira. So the thing of it is that we have capoeira here on the side for us to hello. We have capoeira on the side for us that I don't want to say she's always, for me it's like she's always that toy that we can pull out and play with. So and she'll always be there, but the thing of it is, she's ready for she's ready when you're ready, and you don't have to feel like, I got to jump in. That's kind of where it gets confusing at times. People feel that if you take a step away from capoeira, you have to jump back into it 100%. You're like, I gotta be, or I have to be right back to where I was before this all happened. No. You can take your steps. You can take baby steps. There's nobody around here that has any power to even judge where you are in capoeira or in life, period, unless you give it to them. And sometimes our biggest judge is ourselves. So, you take your time. Even if it's like, you're like, hey, well, I want to do Jenga today. Hey, do Jenga for 5 minutes. Do it for 3, something like that. But you start to even relearn yourself in capoeira, because it may be that, the capoeira that you experienced before and that you loved, now you're going to have a greater love for it. So yeah, just a suggestion.
Awesome suggestion. I received that.
Cool. Yeah, we have one more person enter in. I'm not familiar with yourself. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Malayju. Sorry, I missed the beginning of this. I watched the whole first episode of this Capoeira in Detroit series, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a continuing franchise, but I'm following it with great interest. I train out of Ypsilanti. I started in 2009, so it's been about 14 years now, if my math isn't totally wrong. And I've crossed paths with a lot of the people, the names that I'm seeing right now, and some others. The most consistent mentor that I've had in my training has been with Hez Mungu, which it's not or Alan Edwards. He doesn't necessarily come up in the newer generations, maybe periphery, but I know Trovoada and a lot of people in Michigan know the truth about him. He's amazing. I'm really blessed to have been able to train with him for all these years. Feel free to interject at any point, because I might rant out of enthusiasm, but yeah. So basically, I was at Eastern in Ypsi, and I wanted to take a class that was physical education in some regard, so I could stay in shape. And I was like, oh, let's take a martial arts class, since they had some options for courses and that. And weighing all the options, I looked at Capoeira, which I Googled it, didn't even know what it was. But once I saw the footage of it, I recognized it instantly from Tekken 3. I thought that Eddie Gordo was like I don't know. I thought he was like a made up video game character with the moves he was doing. I know this is not an uncommon story, but when I realized that it was an actual martial art, it blew my mind. And I signed up. Yeah, I recognize that face. Hey, Gallo. So, anyways, Atrevidu was teaching the course there, and it traded hands through the semesters, but there was a regular, pretty awesome group for the beginning, I'd say 5 to 7 years, basically the first half of my time with Capoeira. There was guys like Hesmungu, Chapeu, Atrevidu,
There.
Spelly, Chado. There's people that I'm forgetting that it's been so long now. It's crazy how time flies. But anyways, I haven't really been under one professor or mestre for essentially like the broad swath of my training. So I'm still a yellow cord right now, but I have very fond memories of all the Detroit events, especially the bachazados that I got to go to. Baz and Versace, Kakara, Camarao. I trained with Mignoso for a while. Trovoada actually taught at Eastern for, he took over one of those courses and I trained with him then. It was, I wish I could train under so many people as regular students, but just by virtue of transportation and finances, that I've mainly been sort of a Ronin. But anyways, I don't want to ramble too much, but yeah, I've got so many really great memories of Grand Rapids and traveling to even Burlington with Forca for Common House events, Rochester, Eat Sleep, Talento, Hachinya. I hope I already said Vaquero. He's in Japan now. But yeah, I got nothing but love for this community, and it's great listening to these stories because I've been doing it for a minute, but I really only know of the legends through like it's just historical artifact and the verbal tales that we're hearing now. So like I know Carval and Trove very well, and they have like a legendary status to me, but to actually hear how all this stuff started is so cool. Yeah, so I'll just stop myself there out of respect, but this is awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. I know we probably may be wrapping up a little bit shortly, but that's the focus. That's the goal of this. There's a lot of things that happened in Michigan history that nobody truly knew it when it came to capoeira. Or you may get tidbits of it. You may get like the breadcrumbs of it, but you never got the full slice of the pie. And then even one of our things was, if this was built on making peace, and even one of our topics today, community in capoeira, because community is it's much of an important thing universally outside of capoeira. Community can help fix many things as long as the ego is at the forefront of it. So, but nobody really knew anything about capoeira, more capoeira history here in Michigan. They may have known about, different mestres that have come here and things like that, based on, the title, but based on titles. You may have known a workshop that's happening here. You may have known of dance that's happening here, folklore. You may have known of all these things, but the people that were on the sidelines, the people that, were there even in their younger years, nobody really talked about them. You know, it was more if basically you're not the fashionable person that, you know, is the highlight of anything, you know, you never really got talked about. And I feel that's a as much as a disservice to everybody as much as it's a contradiction to actual community. So you know, but again, our goal is to, even the whole thing, if somebody has an opinion, you have something you want to ask, you need to know something. Okay, let's even work as a community inside of helping each other grow in capoeira and possibly get the question answered. So, you know, but yeah. And you're gonna be you may be a Ronin for a moment, but you know, hey, that doesn't mean a Ronin can't actually be a true samurai.
Yeah, I think really the missing elements for me right now are some of the things that like were the bedrock of what made the community. And like you're saying, it's sometimes the people that get recognized are the flashiest or the most technically gifted, maybe in the combat aspect, but the parts that are missing in my game really are like being fluent in Portuguese, really mastering the beat and bow, singing, and actually, you know, putting the blood, sweat, and tears into events like this. When I talk about all those memories that I had at those different workshops and whatnot, you know, they just appear as like they just come out of the ground or something. But you know, I know that there's so much more behind the scenes, and it was great hearing everyone talk about like, you know, the moms and the, you know, just friends, people that weren't even necessarily training capoeira, but that really held up and kept the spirit alive. And yeah, so I have it's so cool to hear all the different details like that slip under the rocks. Unfortunately, there's so much that goes into it, and that's why I think it captivates so many people. Is like there's so many layers to the game, and it just brings, you know, ideally, and like you said, I've seen the ego first person as well. It's unfortunately it's kind of unavoidable to a certain extent coming up with young people, you know, and everyone, you know, we're still primates to a certain extent in terms of like trying to figure out who's the top dog and whatever social hierarchy, but that was always really just a distraction and an aberration from what I enjoyed the most. And most of the stuff that I remember is just like amazing camaraderie, parties, people creating really close friendships instantly without having to fuss around with small talk, and just making connections with really eclectic people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that. I mean, like, I've gained relationships with people that gave me a hashit at the right time. I'm like, oh, guess what? I'm like, oh, that lets me know that I need to train a little bit more. I'm like, so, but then at the same time, it's I can use that example with this, and then you know, I think we'll open up the floor for like at least two more people, then we'll call it a night. But actually, recently in the news, I don't know if you guys have seen that. I think it was out in Missouri or Minnesota, one of these places where they actually had the two wrestlers. They're like teenagers, and then the one actually lost. So then the other one went over there, and at the end of it, when he's supposed to shake his hand, he like punched him and knocked him out. That in itself, I use that example because certain things like that being the whole fact of sportsmanship, that's out the door. That's gone. That's just gone in many ways, shape, or forms. Not just sportsmanship, respect for the other person, things like that. Um, and that is something that universally grows across the board, but you also will see that in capoeira. It has no other choice but to show itself, because I like the idea. I love the idea of capoeira being it always being a game. Now we have, you know, everything has taken another evolution where now, you know, we have capoeira tournaments. You know, we have like, you know, tournaments for capoeira, things like that. You know, you can't, I say it like this, you can't deny the other side of capoeira. That's, you know, the warrior aspect, the competitive part of it. You can't deny it. But it's again, like we talked about in the beginning of this, when things start becoming commercial, and because of this, when it starts becoming this, that's when you start to lose a lot of things that are the fundamentals of capoeira. You start taking away all the roots and the base of it, and you start making it where it was this 85 Corvette that was beautiful. Now you just turn it into the Mustang with that's an electric vehicle that, you know, it's the new age thing that's fast, but I can only go 300 miles on one charge. You're just doing all of this stuff. But it's like, you know, and to also share with you on that, when you have experienced those instances with the ego, suggestion, and I know everybody else has probably experienced it too. At the end of the day, what did you learn from it? What did you take from it? And how did it affect you? And then just one person's ego doesn't exactly mean that that's how you will enjoy capoeira. So, and then also not to even don't judge yourself based on, because we can fall into that too because of our teachers. Sometimes we want to be the best because of our teachers. You know, we're like, oh, I want to be the best. I know he's training me to do this. I want to be the next him, her, who, whatever. I want to be that next person, you know, but you can fall into that gap where you can start actually losing yourself. You can start to miss out what was your enjoyment in capoeira based on somebody else's opinion or somebody else's vision of you. Enjoy capoeira. Literally just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. That's the best thing you're gonna take from it.
Just to clarify, I totally appreciate and love the competitive aspect. I think just to be clear, what gives me a sour feeling in my stomach is when it's not about like truly challenging each other. Like I've delighted in some exchanges where like you're not really sure whether they're, you know, they'll put in a real strike here and there, and like it starts to get heated. I love that, but it's when you can tell it's not about just martial arts, like someone, you know, slept with somebody's girlfriend, or like, you know, some kind of like petty thing where it's like they're taking it personally, and this is more of an act of violence than an act of dialogue, even if it's a martial dialogue, you know what I mean?
That's like I said, again, the competitive part is going to come because I mean capoeira wasn't, I mean, we look at its history, capoeira didn't come from like sugar roses and lollipops. It didn't come from that. But you're gonna have that part that is the fight and the combative aspect of it. And also too, this segues into that. I understand where you're saying in your experience, you're explaining as well too. If you look at it, Harder is not supposed to be where you come and you resolve stuff. Harder is not supposed to be that. Harder is supposed to be where you come and you enjoy capoeira. You're gonna test each other. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not where, you know, you're not going to, you know, everything's going to be nice. It's not where you're going to be in a harder and you're going to play the same capoeira. You're going to play somebody from the same group. You're going to play somebody from a different group. Something's going to happen like that. It's the thing of, again, like we've been saying, we've been hitting this whole time with this. The one word, ego. It's when ego takes over. When that ego takes over, oh, you slept with my girl. Oh, you looked at this person the wrong way. Oh, you stepped on my shoe. You know, it's a whole bunch of ridiculous crap. Or, you know, this person showed me up in a capoeira presentation. We did a demonstration. They did more parafusos than I do. You know, a whole bunch of stuff. It's ridiculous stuff. It's like, okay, but at the end of the day, did this really need to happen? So again, it's like when the ego takes over, that's when things just go out of whack. But like I said, going back to enjoy it. Enjoy capoeira. Enjoy it. enjoy it. So yeah, so 2 more people and then we call it a night. Anything you guys would love to say? Want to make sure, I was like, if anybody, I want to make sure at least Barrett says something, because like, you know, we can't go without Barrett saying something.
Radio check, radio check.
Yeah,
Can you guys hear me?
1 2 1 2. We
1 2
hear
1
you.
2. Mike 1 2. Yeah. A real quickie. You have to, when you start learning architecture or drafting or geometry, learn about a point and a line of space. So you as a student and or teacher, you have to know, am I a point or am I a line of space? Each one has a defined job. Student should learn. Teacher, coach, Miss Stray should teach. The teacher has a lot of different hats that they wear. They're a psychologist. They're a person who presents ideals. As a teacher, pretend that your student doesn't understand your language, can't tangibly figure out what you're saying or doing. As a student, you learn from 3 different teachers. The first one is your eyes. Second one is your ears. Third, your body. So me, like I said, I studied multiple arts, and there's a midpoint with all of them. And the midpoint is you. You choose to go down this path and take it like you're taking a college subject. You got to grab a notebook, take notes. If you can't physically take notes, mentally take notes. Never, ever be afraid to ask the question. The people who will have a condescending attitude, look down upon you, say, well, why is he or she wasting time in class, asking all these questions? Believe it or not, you will become better than them. Why? It's the, what's that word? Tenacity. It's an itch that you can't scratch. It's something deep inside. Just stay in motion. If you're not actively training, mentally train. Look at a video. Go outside. Just do nothing. Just stop and say, where am I at? Close your eyes. What do you hear? You hear the birds. What do you feel? You feel the wind blowing. Then go back in, go back. So with that, no, ego is actually a good thing. But if you flow with it too heavy, it can be self-destructive. You'll be that person that nobody wants to play with, that guy that nobody wants to hold the tie pads for, the guy that nobody wants to work on techniques with, or that girl who is constantly critical. So we're all human. We're not perfect. And I think you go back to Egyptology, the Eye of Horus. Eye of Horus is divided into like 6 parts, but each part does not make a whole, because nothing is perfect. With that, I don't want to hold up the show. I'm learning about communication. Stop, listen, shut up. All right. With that, I thank you all for allowing me to come in late. I'm not very computer literate. I'm getting better. But with that, keep flowing. And I love where this energy is going. All right. With that, Ashe to you all.
Man, I like how Barrett just came in like the intro to like the Arsenio Hall show. It just let it out. This is like, bam. Cool. Yep, 1 more person and then we call it an evening. Nope. Anybody?
No, I got one.
Okay.
I got one.
Oh, go for it.
Oh.
And it's quick. So David, you can go. We got to set a date for a harder.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I were thinking pretty much the same thing. I'm very bad at being quick, but I'll try. I just want to say first, Miujia, I'm so happy that you're thinking about coming back to Capoeira. I think that's, we haven't met, but like, we're part of a community together, and the fact that you are, able to find that strength inside of yourself and that healing, I think that's so amazing. And you're going to be such a positive part of the community because you're you, and because we need our community. So no pressure, but if you are able to do that and you're able to rejoin and kind of bring that back, I think everybody here is going to be really happy about that. You're going to be more than welcome, and that goes for anybody here who's taken a pause. Capoeira is not mine, and Capoeira Michigan is not mine, but I do want to say that, as I relate to Capoeira, I want to get out there more. I want to meet all of you folks who I haven't met yet, reunite with the folks who I met back in the day, and Professor Trovada, we met under different auspices, and now we're, I think, on more of our true paths, and so it'll be nice to get to reconnect in that way. And I think especially in the environment of a hall, I think that's going to be really great. In California, I feel like we were really stuck in our groups and our academies for a long time, and some folks did an intergroup HADA, and I gotta say, for me, I feel like there was an era before and after that HADA de Amizade, where people started really visiting each other and making personal friendships and community, really community, in a way that wasn't just who you pay the monthly dues to. And so if y'all want to do a HADA, I'll be there. And if you want some help organizing it, count on me. But I think that's a great idea.
You know what I can add to it? Let's
she's precious.
So we don't make it something too I don't want to say too much stuck on just harder. Let's make it two things. Let's make it where we have a harder, and then we also go have dinner or something together. Let's break bread together. So I believe that would be great.
Maybe we could do a potluck.
I was going to say, it's funny you said that because, our time, we spent so much time together outside of, just class or training or the whole, we all practically lived together. It was crazy. And after training, we were together for hours and where restaurants had to kick us out. We in the parking lot, with, doing capoeira in the parking lots, and they call in management they just won't leave. That was the feel that we have, and I think if we start to just have fun again, everything else will come. Everything else will come. Yeah. The training will come. The HODA will come, and that community that people keep mentioning, it came from what you just mentioned, just hey, going out to dinner, going out to what we call chili dicks. That's a whole story in itself. We won't go there because we'll be laughing, for a couple of more hours on that story. Or we were always piled up at somebody's house or sleeping on the floor, or in somebody else's state sleeping on the floor. And that's that's just the way we were. So I think if we get back to that, everything else will come, and it only takes a small group to spread outwards and affect everybody else, even those people with egos. So then you start looking at yourself kind of crazy, I'm the odd one, I'm the one that's got some issues going on. So I would love to see that. I guess to go back to your question earlier, what would we like to see for the future? And I would say just spending that time and I'm sitting here how in the heck did I miss you guys? And I'm hearing Wayne State, I'm hearing Trevito, Hasmungo, all of these people. I'm how in the heck did we just miss each other? How do we do that? So I would love to get back to that.
Okay. Can I say one thing before we leave? And I do want to give Minji credit, because in the first talk, and I'm gonna make this really quick. In the first talk, I was talking about a person who, when we had these events, she lived in Southwest Detroit, and we was all staying at her house. That's Minji.
Oh,
that's Shaquana. We staying all at her house, and yeah, we ain't gonna go now. We were staying at her house, and
I got a big backyard now too, so
yeah,
big enough.
So I want to acknowledge her. That's who I was speaking of when I said that in the first talk. So, you know, I just want to acknowledge that.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's plan it for the future. I can at least you know, I can bring the I can make the karajé and the moqueca. So
Bring some
I-
Guaraná.
yeah, there you go. Oh, don't even stop about. I'm trying to stop my addiction to guaraná. Oh man. Well, everybody again, just thank you for the opportunity and the time you invested in tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I like how these meetings are going. I want to, you know, first and foremost, also acknowledge Trovada. I want to acknowledge Trovada. Not just Trovada, I mean, just me and you back and forth talking about this, you know, our experiences. And we were like, you know, this is just something that needs to happen. And just 2 times, even right now, that doesn't, it can't stop. It can't stop. I don't want to sound like Mason Puff Daddy. Can't stop, won't stop. But needless to say, what we're starting is something that needs to continue. It's going to help grow many things. And I just thank everybody for, you know, the opportunity to even meet with you, to hear more about you, for you to take something away from tonight. And, you know, just keep a communication with each other, because, you know, we have no other choice but to grow, not stay stagnant. And we all have something universal that helps us with that, and that's capoeira. So yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated. Y'all have a great evening, and talk to you again soon.
Obrigado.
Okay. Obrigada.